Morning Horizon. Today's Advent devotional comes from Luke 10:25 through 37, and it's the parable of the Good Samaritan. We've all heard it before, and it had become kind of rote for me until I heard an exposition on it in a sermon. Ever since then, this has become one more reason that I love Jesus. Just before the parable, Jesus gives the golden rule, and let me read it for you here. Luke 10:25. On one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he asked, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" "What is written in the law?" he replied. "How do you read it?" He answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." "You have answered correctly," Jesus replied. "Do this and you will live." So the expert in the law knew the law, love God and love your neighbor, but he still tried to expand on the question. Let me continue on in verse 29. But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" In reply, Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. 'Look after them,' he said, 'and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have.' Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" The expert in the law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." Jesus told him, "Go and do likewise." Now, some of you have maybe heard me use this example before, but for me, this is always such a good reminder. Here's what I love about this story. The priest and the Levite were Jews, and normally they would be the heroes of the story. But in this case, the protagonist is a Samaritan. And here's the key. Jews and Samaritans hated each other. They looked down on each other. They wanted nothing to do with each other. So when Jesus uses a Samaritan as an example of loving your neighbor, he's saying a lot. He's saying that if I want to love my neighbor, that includes my enemy. He's saying it includes people I don't even like. In order to love my neighbor, it requires imagining a new and better way. The Samaritan in the story dropped all the enmity he had towards this Jew and created a new path. When he crossed the road, he took action to create new possibilities. A new possibility where instead of hating my enemy, I could help my enemy. Jesus is saying that choosing the path of love requires seeing a better way and taking action on it. Now, this is a high bar, and it's a test that I fail in many situations. But here's the good news. We may fail at loving our neighbors, but we're always giving more opportunities to try and get it right. Now, what would the world look like if we all tried to love our neighbors and our enemies just a little more today than we did yesterday? Can you imagine a world where everyone loved just a little bit more? May God's kingdom come. May his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And just as Jesus told the expert in the law, go and do likewise. Let's go and do that ourselves. Grace and peace to you today. Thank you.